Hi, my name is Julie Davis, and today I'm going to be talking about my digital tools lesson plan over our science unit of living and non-living animals. The overview of our lesson, so the standard was for students to be able to obtain, evaluate, and communicate information about how living and non-living objects are grouped. So what we did was we gathered pictures from Google Images and we sorted them into different categories based off of their ecosystems. Next, we were able to create a mind map with the teacher, myself, and be able to determine where animals are located and which ecosystems that they live in. And the last thing that the students did was they filled in a WIC-C assignment to show mastery of this standard. I teach kindergarten, so this is a very wide range of living, non-living, just a very big, broad overview. Some information that the students kind of needed to know before we started our lesson was being able to know basic technology skills like using a mouse on a keyboard, being able to type simple words, and being able to navigate different websites throughout our digital apps located in our ClassLink. And then they should have basic understanding of what animals are and being able to differentiate their environments that they live in. Some essential questions that we used talking about throughout our lesson was what makes something living and non-living, and what are some examples of those? Where do animals live in the ecosystems that they live in? And then why are living and non-living things important? And how do we depend on non-living things? And why do we need both? First off, students were able to use Google Images. They searched up different animals. We talked about which was their favorites. And then we searched up others that they might know off the top of their head. And we were able to print off pictures that they were able to talk about and sort them out into different collages around the room based off of the ecosystems and where they're located. After that, we had a teacher-led mind mapping. We used MindMaster. In Forsyth County, MindMaster is not allowed for student use only, so it had to be teacher-directed. But the kids really enjoyed being able to organize the different types of animals in some categories of what kind of makes the animal unique. And then at the very end, we use a WIC-C assignment. This was our final assessment. Students were given this assignment to complete and sort out things that were living and versus things that were non-living. And this was just to kind of show that they had mastered what we had taught. For our assessments that I used in the classroom, I had a teacher checklist. A lot of things in kindergarten are all based off of observation. And teachers are able to gather information by a simple and very quick little check they got it or no, they did not get it. I was able to use a checklist based off of different images that they were finding, whether they were animals and where they were located in the ecosystems and where the students placed them on the collages. And then I was also able to use our WIC-C assignment as a final assessment for a grade. Some different ways that we differentiated based off of the different learners that we have in our classroom. We had some visual learners using the pictures with the Google Images and also pulling in the mind map as our visual. We also had kinesthetic learners and being able to have that hands-on activity with the creating the collages. And then we had independent activities and collaborative activities in our lessons for those students who like to do their own work and those who like to have peer work. Some management that we had set up in our classroom prior to starting was making sure that there were clear expectations for how students were to behave and use the digital tools. Being able to establish those routines, we've kind of talked about that all year long with using our tools and how those routines look in our kindergarten classroom. We were able to use positive reinforcement to kind of set up that good behavior and participation. We had lots of group activities that were kind of structured out, so making sure that the students knew how to do the teamwork and collaborate together. And then the most important was just being able to have a calm and organized classroom in the setting here in the classroom, and being able to give feedback as the students are going through their work. After we did our lessons, we kind of sat down together and we reflected on what they liked, what they learned, and how they thought it went, anything that they thought they would maybe want to change or add into a different assignment, and kind of helped reflect on how the lesson went together. A really big thing that we learned from the teacher aspect was just being able to have flexibility and patience with students that are using digital tools. These are 5 and 6-year-olds, and so giving them a Chromebook and having them search the internet for pictures could get frustrating. So it was really important to have patience and flexibility throughout the lesson with them. But overall, I would say that the lesson was very effective in keeping kids engaged and helping them to understand the concepts of living and non-living, and then sorting them into different ecosystems. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.